Okay guys, so we're live, ready to rumble. And again, if you missed this video, don't worry, I'll put it up in the announcements on the Facebook page here and you can find it. But then also it's going to show up in your app the next day for tomorrow. So if you miss it here, you've already got it in two places. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. It is week 2 of the challenge, and this week is when we start to try to identify what type of level eater you are acting at. So on Sunday we talked a little bit about your nutritional level or your nutritional age, and basically your age or your level eater is what you consistently do right now without even realizing it. So we can all be different level eaters, and we all start at different levels, but that's okay because we're practicing. Like all last week, it was straight up level 1. And you got a video, I think on Monday, that talked about the difference between level 1 and level 2 habits. And the real difference is just a little bit more thought about your choices. We're all trying to eat better quality. We're all trying to just do better. But with level 2, it's just a little step up. So having said that, I know a lot of people are going to want to be that acting level 2 because they think that they need to do that to make progress. Well, plenty of people in the challenge are acting level 1 throughout the entire thing, and they have great results, because the point is of reaching level 1 and staying at level 1 for the rest of your life is that you never go below that. So it's always going to be your baseline, no matter what part of your journey you're in. Sorry, my little thing was messed up. So what we want to do is try to figure out where you're acting at. And so that's what we were trying to do in the beginning of the week, was just assess what you're capable of staying consistent at. And, when it comes to choosing day by day, like what level you are, you can flip-flop between the two. Like I would say a lot of the coaches, even myself included, kind of go back and forth depending on the month, the week, whatever it is. Like some days we're just trying to get in the good, level 1, and then other days we're, really focused on getting in those leaner sources of protein, those veggies in every meal type of thing. So that's the real difference between level 1. It's nothing that one is better than the other. It just means you're level 1 until you're consistent at it, and then whenever you're consistent enough where it is autopilot, where you're not really having to stress about eating a plant every time you eat a meal, drinking water, just out of habit, then that's when you can go up to the next level. So I hope everybody's understanding that concept where it's not one is better than the other. Consistency is king. That's the number one thing. Consistency in any type of eating is king when it comes, but consistency and adding in the good is the number 1, and that is level 1. So let's kind of go over some of the, we get a question on protein for level 1 versus level 2. Now, like I said before, level 1, you're going for the good stuff. You're not trying to necessarily say oh, I can't eat red meat, or, I can't have peanut butter or something like that. You're just adding in whole foods. So the same thing goes for the protein sources. We do mention about peanut butter being a protein source. Now, I love peanut butter. I have an issue with eating too much peanut butter. And that is where you have to be a little bit more cautious. I'm not saying that level 1s can't use peanut butter, like apple and peanut butter, as their, meal habits. That would count in my eyes. Because you're eating a whole food or close to a whole food. So it's better than eating, say, something out of the vending machine for a snack. All right, but if you say that I'm good at level 1 and you're wanting to progress to that level 2, that's where that difference is going to happen. So whereas a level 1 could use peanut butter in one of their meals during the day as their protein source and check off that habit, a level 2 is going to think a little bit deeper into it and want to say, okay, I'm going to get the most bang for my buck, and I'm going to go for that leaner protein source like chicken, fish, that type of stuff, where you're not adding in that calorie dense fat and trying to get enough protein. Because usually what happens with level 2s is that they are, they're, like I said, they're good at level 1 stuff, but they've got performance goals like a sport, or they're in the gym a lot, and they've got certain body composition goals where more focus on where those calories and macronutrients are coming from are going to matter in that changing process. So where you can still have progress making level 1 habits and doing that, like we have winners in the challenge that they're only level 1, but then towards the end of the challenge, they may start teetering on that level 1.5 or even into level 2 and not even realize it. And that's the good thing. So I just want to get that cleared up, that you don't have to be acting level 2 to have like great results. But if you are, understanding why you're stepping up to that next level is super important, because what you don't want to happen is not have a strong why for doing something more complicated. Not saying that level 2 is super complicated, but depending on where you are in your journey, it could be too big of a jump. And too big of a jump means you could probably fall on your face when you run out of willpower and life happens or something like that. So protein rules for that, for the level 1, level 2, is pretty much anything goes for a level 1 as long as it's not fried. And then the level 2s, you're looking towards lean protein sources from like your grocery list to count for your checkoff. Now, when it comes to other things like the plant habit, so like what we've been preaching is add in the good. If it's a plant, if Jesus made it, you can eat it, okay? That's level 1. So I don't care if you're eating a potato or grapes or whatever it is, that plant habit, anything goes, fruit or veggie. And that's what we listed in your plant habit goals. So your plant habit goals is, did you eat 2 servings of a fruit or veggie? Now level 2, like I said, you're just trying to be a little bit more focused on where your nutrients are coming from. And so naturally it's harder to eat more vegetables for most people, just because a lot of people don't like raw vegetables, or it takes time to cook, and fruit's usually easier to grab and go. So that's where the level 2 kind of steps it up, where you have to do a little bit more planning, a little bit more focus on and figuring out how you're going to fill that plant habit with vegetables. So we had the goal. We're not necessarily saying you can't eat fruit or anything like that. Like this week, we're upping the servings for the level 2 is 3 or more fruits or veggies. Now, as we go along, we're going to start adding in a veggie goal for level 2s. So if you wanted to start getting in the habit of that, you can start thinking a little bit out ahead of things, where you're going to know that level 1, level 2 is going to start splitting, where level 2s are going to have to start using more vegetables for that habit. But other than that, I just want to reiterate that there are no hard rules where we are saying, you know, we really just want every client to be level 1. That is our goal of the entire challenge. It's not for everybody to be, you know, level 2 and crushing it and stuff. You will naturally get there. Like for me personally, I can act at level 2 very easily. But there's some days where I don't get a veggie every time I eat. You know, it's a fruit, it's a plant, it's whatever, you know, but I am trying to add in those, just add in the good. You know, I'm not conscious that I'm actually doing that because it's habitual, you know, so that's the goal, is to get everybody in that pattern, everybody in that thought process of, this is just what I eat. Like, this is the types of food that I eat, is level 1. And if you can get to that point where level 1 is easy for you, like, you're golden. You're set for life. You know, you can decide during a season, you know, of your life if you want to step it up to that next level, because you've already laid down that foundation of, I eat majority of the time whole foods and I know how to eat them. You know, where you're not stressed out making some complicated meal plan or something like that. Like, even though we're only in week 2 of this challenge, you know, you're already starting to understand that, like, the combinations of your plates don't necessarily matter. Like, you can have the most random combination of stuff, but if it's your plants and proteins, then you're checking off your habits and it doesn't matter. You know, I'm the queen of random food, and not everything has to be this, you know, spectacular recipe that's worthy of social media post or something like that. Like, it can just be super simple, super random if you want it. Like, the other day, like, Bishop loves, my son loves what we call a snack plate. So, like, and maybe I'll post one of these that we do, but we'll do boiled eggs, like, keep them in the fridge, use that as his protein source, and then, like, I'll do tomatoes, cucumbers, grapes, banana, like, just kind of like an adult Lunchable type of thing. And even though that's, like, not big fuss, that's, like, filling level 1 habits, maybe even, you know, verging on the level 2 type of stuff. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something, you know, amazing or complicated or anything like that, but, you know, just that focus on adding in those plants. And as we go along, it'll get, you know, easier and easier. We had some really good Q&A videos that we posted inside your app. So on Sunday, the one about canned veggies versus fresh veggies. We have a saying that the best plant to eat is the one you're willing to eat. Or so if it goes for vegetables, like, my husband hates fresh green beans. Like, even if I roast them in the oven or steam them or saute them or anything like that, it's just the texture of them. But he loves canned green beans. So, you know, I let him use canned green beans, and I'll make him up some canned green beans, and he eats, like, the entire pan of them. So, you know, any way you can start to get in those vegetables or that food that you think that you're not going to like, try anything, you know, and that's what this whole 12 weeks is about, is experimenting. Because as you go along, the more you eat this type of food, the more your taste buds are going to change, and the more you're going to, you know, actually crave the whole foods. Another one inside and I think these were in the habit cards. So if you go into Sunday's habit cards, the plant habit, canned versus fresh veggies is in the plant habit. And then, can I count dairy towards my protein habit in the protein card habit? Protein habit card is the video. And that's just kind of another video kind of answering, like, the peanut butter question. Does dairy count as a protein source? It can, because there's high protein sources in, like, say, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, that type of stuff. It just depends on what your body can handle. Like, for me, I can't eat those things. I am sensitive. I wouldn't say I'm lactose intolerant, but I am sensitive to dairy. So, you know, whey protein sources, Anything melted type of thing, like, it does not agree with me. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm just not going to do that to anybody else. But you can have some of those count towards your dairy, especially if you're level 1. Now, level 2, you may get more bang for your buck, more protein in your serving if you're using meats. But that's something that you would decide for yourself. After that, on Monday is the difference between level 1 and level 2 eaters. There's a video there. And then also the how much peanut butter can I eat. So I won't go too far into that anymore, and y'all can go back and read those lessons. Then on Tuesday, you got can I eat cheese? Again, it depends on your goal. It depends on if you're sensitive to dairy or not. But again, there are better, more bang for your buck protein sources than cheese or higher fat sources. So it's just being aware of those choices and then deciding if that's what you want to use. But other than that, like, the only thing I'm going to remind you guys to do is on Saturday, you'll get what's called the meal compliance chart. And so if you haven't been filling out your food log, which I hope everybody has, because it's super important to do that, especially in the beginning, you'll have a meal compliance chart exercise to do where you'll look back on your week of food that you filled out, and you'll be able to get a percentage of compliance to your level eater habit. And it's going to explain how to do that, but you can only complete that assignment if you have all your meals filled out. So look for that to come on Saturday, and then every week after that, you'll get a meal compliance chart to use towards your weekly food log. And it's just another way to kind of assess. It's a tool to figure out if you are hitting what you're going for as far as habits, level 1, level 2, depending on what that is. And again, it may change from week to week. You may be level 1 one week, and then the next week you're like, oh, I'm gonna be level 2. But that meal compliance chart will just kind of help give you a little bit more insight on things that you may need to change for the next week ahead. So next week is going to be, we're going to start with some meal prep planning strategies on Sunday. So we're going to start getting into that a little bit more. If you have any questions, don't worry about it. Just holler at your coach. That's what we're here for, especially in this first month. I cannot stress communication enough. Ask all the questions. Your coach should be responding to you within 24 hours. And we're going to get through this month just fine. All right, guys. So we'll be back for week 3 again next Wednesday. See ya.